Welcome to JDNBA.com. This is Jonas Reporters for the 7th of October, and well, it was an interesting day. I mean, we've seen this general improvement from DOC. Things were looking good, and then it was announced that there'd be no stimulus talks until after the election. That just put a tailspin into the wind of optimism on Trump returning back, and basically there was just no movement from the House side, and that just led to, I think, an exasperation, just a decision to hold off because there wasn't going to be any. This was that idea that you could get leverage over the other needing it, but the reality is that there are plenty of Americans who need the assistance given these lockdowns, and it's going to be problematic. Bit of a rebound coming back from it, though. It did turn out not to be. I mean, we were up pretty solid for the day, and then once that happened, that was just to see the 5K chart on it was pretty impressive. It was building towards flash crash quality, but not as fast as the flash crash was. For those that can remember those days, from a Nasdaq standpoint, again, just flirting under that 50%, and again, this is that just soft bullishness where you're still above the 13, but you've got weak shakeout that's continuing to decline, soft DOC as well, and just not enough impetus though to find new sellers that just want to exit. So it's sort of like but you just have to deal with it and trade the ranges that happen within it. From a euro standpoint, again, euro's fine. I mean, there was a big plunge in the euro once the idea that no stimulus was going to happen, because you're not devaluing the dollar when you're not spending extra billions of dollars. So it inevitably led some strength back into the dollar. And from a gold standpoint, still going to be stuck here until there's some degree of increase in economic activity. That's the end of the day for that. There's no question that you need that in order to really propel gold to another range, or an international incident would be good as well. So from an intraday standpoint, it was interesting. What we started off with was just kind of a casual bullishness. We would get the dips below the red line that were showing up here, and they would just kind of trade back and forth, and then you'd end up with weakness with steel crossing below cyan, and usually cyan above green, and that would give you just a tiny little dip until you get your orange dip, and then you would get your next set of dotted lines that would bring you back up. So it was just pretty much back and forth, and then as the day started to happen, we ended up with some nice soft readings that started to build a little momentum. P2 developed there with the blue candle, and then the dotted green, which was the confirmation that you've had a turnaround in your long algo setup, along with the fact that you had already moved positive from a shakeout standpoint. And once that happens, you're already set for a long run at that point. And that led to just a great move that was just going gangbusters for the longest run. Then I started getting a little bit cautious with it once we started getting the positive extremes, and those began right here, and they just kept going. So I was just riding higher with the long algo, and pretty much had moved all the way up to the peak, because I figured we would have some degree of retracing once this DOC configuration started to develop there. Exited there, but I was just out for a little bit and came back right as we had started this second little bar here after the magenta, and it just accelerated down, and this was all just in a span of a very short period of time. I mean, you had it from 1349 to 52, and you lost that equivalent of points, going all the way from 3410 to the 70s. So it was quite powerful. Needless to say, it stayed with that until we ended up basing a little bit down here, but they were just kind of like fits and spurts, with a lot of weakness in between, and that pretty much developed throughout the rest of the time period. And then even later on, when we would get a couple of these little green confirmations of change, you'd hit the 50% and it would reject here in DOC, and it just led more to decaying prices. So then when we started the morning, got the green dotted line right there from an early conversion off the power mo as well as improving shakeout, and we didn't get cyan dip until a little bit right over here, and this is one of those interesting ones where it's just like a little teeny one. But what we did have was we'd already had the orange dip and everything from earlier. What was really going on was it was a slow rise of the red DOC. There was none of that dramatic movement that usually triggers our color changes. So that's where the dotted line really is helpful, because it recognized that yes, you had achieved all the things you needed. It was just not giving you the specific ones that we tend to look for, which are usually a dramatic fall off and then pop back up. But that's led to the run up. We hit the algo at 73 and immediately paused off the algo at 73, and that's currently where we're sitting right now. Not bad. It's just filling in back to these ranges again. The 33.88 will be the next one, and you're going to have to fight these same ranges that we had. It's not surprising that the 44 algo for before, as well as the 73 peak here, and then we go to 88, and then we have the stuff that comes up from above. So we will certainly be following it, and as always, anything unique happens, I will certainly put it up. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.